Druids 1, Corden, arsehole, 0. No, this isn't some kind of alternative football setup that you've wandered into, but more about understanding narcissism. One of the huge advantages that I have running this excellent channel is the opportunity to explain to you the behaviours of famous and infamous people so that you understand why they behave as they do, but they also serve as magnificent examples of narcissism in action. I've utilised that, of course, with the trial that took place involving Amber Heard and her behaviours thereafter. The infamous slap, which is nearly a year old, involving Will Smith and, of course, his wife's reactions to that thereafter, and analysis of the two of them on various red carpets, all very instructive. I've utilised footage from a domestic violence programme, which I would encourage you to watch because it's a brilliant breakdown of the various forms of manipulation and dynamic between narcissist and victim. So many articles that I read from, particularly, of course, with regard to Harry's wife, not only enable you to be entertained at throwing some snark in her direction, because, after all, it's the only way of tolerating such a boring individual, but moreover, it provides you with a prominent example of her narcissism in action to show you the aspects of the way that she pursues the prime aims, why she responds in the way that she does, why she controls Prince Harry in the way that she does, why she has the repeated obsession with regard to the royal family, and so on and so forth. And there is a further opportunity, which always delights me when it relates to the misfortune of James Corden, arsehole, to explain to you another facet of narcissism in action. A short article from the Times Diary, written by Patrick Kidd, tells us, Corden, arsehole's plan hits the rocks. James Corden, arsehole's plan to build a pool house at his home near Henley-on-Thames has been thwarted by Druids, or rather a circle of 45 megalithic stones known as the Druid Temple. All hail the Druid Temple, I say. Historic England has deemed them to be too close to the comedian's redevelopment of a property he bought in 2020. So the pool house has been dropped from the planning application. Corden, arsehole, will just have to change into his swimming cosy behind a menhir. However, a solution comes from the Channel Islands. 15 years before Lord Elgin brought home some excess baggage from Athens, Henry Seymour Conway left Jersey, where he was governor, where these stones are gifts from the islands. It's reported that Jersey would like the stones back. Surely, Corden, arsehole, who is leaving his American chat show, has spent long enough living with weather-beaten rock stars in Los Angeles. Ho, 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 how very droll. Now, of course, it amuses me to find that his planning application for a pool house has been kiboshed as a consequence of the presence of these very old stones. And of course, one obtains a degree of delight at this occurring to James Corden, arsehole. But how would a narcissist feel when their plans are thwarted? Well, you ought to know by now that the fact that he's not been allowed to do something wounds him. The wounding is not massive because it comes essentially from a tertiary source, historic England. And therefore, that or the relevant planning authority having said no to his pool house doesn't cause massive wounding in the way, for instance, if his wife ignored him. But it wounds him nevertheless. He, of course, has a rampant sense of entitlement, which is such that he believes that he's access all areas, that he is entitled to do what he wants to do, that he is allowed to go where he wants to go, that he can talk to whoever he wants, whenever he wants, that he's allowed to go to these various places. He has no sense of accountability for his conduct. Instead, governed by his narcissism, he barges in wherever he's not wanted, believing that because he is James Corden, arsehole, that there will be people that approve of his appearance, that there are people who are delighted by him turning up, that they want to spend time with James Corden, arsehole. And of course, he believes that everybody loves him. He believes that everybody finds him hilarious because, after all, he's James Corden, arsehole, the funny man. The fact that this has been prevented will cause wounding to him, and it's not likely that he would immediately approach the planning authority and call them all arseholes and say, "Do you know who I am with my piggy little face?" No. Instead, he's more likely to complain about it to his lawyer, to his wife, to whoever was handling the planning application for him. It won't be fair. He cannot understand why it's turned down. What, just for some pesky stones? Move the stones then, would be a likely reaction from one such as he. You'll have witnessed such unreasonable responses of the narcissist when the narcissist has been told no. I recall only recently advising a client who couldn't understand the fact that he had been invited by a client of his to attend a football match in the corporate hospitality. And when he told his wife said, "Well, you can't go because that's the evening that I go and see my grandma, and we haven't got anybody to look after the children. Can you not go on another day?" And he explained that she said that in all sincerity. And I explained, I completely believe you. She really believed that the 40 or 50,000 people that were due to attend that particular football match should all decide, okay, because your wife wants to go and see her grandma, we'll all move the match to another day. Preposterous, ridiculous. But that's the way that certain narcissists function. That even though it is a ridiculous observation to make, to expect a football match to be moved with all of the 40 or 50,000 people attending to go on another day, they say it in all seriousness. Because, driven by their narcissism, they honestly believe that they are entitled to do what they want and everybody else has to fit around them. The planets revolve around them. They are the centre of the universe. And therefore, anything that gets in the way of what the narcissist wants or desires or wishes to do is a threat to control and must be dealt with. And it's no different here in relation to James Corden, arsehole, having his planning application hit the rocks, both figuratively and literally. It amounts to a threat to control, it will wound him, and it will necessitate him to complain about it in some shape or form in order to nullify that threat to control. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.